Alright, so you think you've got every trick in the firearms book figured out? Over my years on the range, I've picked up some serious nuggets of wisdom. These come from combat veterans, from high-level competition shooters, and from those old-school gunsmiths who've forgotten more about guns than most of us will ever know. Some of these tips are so straightforward, you'll probably kick yourself for not thinking of them. Others might just flip your entire understanding of how your firearms are supposed to work. We're talking about everything from cleaning shortcuts that actually save you time to small training tweaks that can sharpen your skills almost overnight. These are the 10 tips that separate the casual plinker from the folks who truly live and breathe this stuff. Let's dive in. Number 10. The Vinegar and Peroxide Barrel Rescue. A lot of shooters are convinced the only way to strip out stubborn fouling is with a bottle of expensive brand-name solvent. But there's a field expedient method that soldiers and old-timers have been using for decades, and it works just as well, if not better, than anything you can buy at the local gun shop. Take a small glass jar and mix equal parts of plain white vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. This creates a mild acid that just eats lead, copper, and brass deposits. It dissolves them like they were never there. If you've got a rifle bore that's just horribly fouled, wet a patch with this mix, swab it through, and let it sit overnight. When you come back in the morning and run clean patches through, you will be amazed at the years of gunk that just peels right out. This mixture works wonders on revolver cylinders too. You know those stubborn black scorch marks on the cylinder face? This solution doesn't care. Just scrub the face with a bronze brush dipped in the mix. Maybe follow it up with a green Scotch Brite pad, and it'll look like it just came from the factory. Now, here is the critical warning. You cannot let this solution sit for too long, and you must neutralize it. It leaves a tacky residue that needs to be completely flushed out, either with brake cleaner or a good powder solvent, and then you must follow up with a proper, high-quality gun oil. And let me be crystal clear. Never, under any circumstances, shoot ammunition that has been soaking in this stuff. That acid can compromise the integrity of the brass and the metal, leading to a catastrophic failure. This is not your every week cleaning routine. This is the deep clean magic bullet you use when nothing else works. Number 9. Turning household throwaways into reloading gold. Getting set up for reloading can get expensive, fast. That is, unless you know how to turn everyday junk into high-performance tools. One of the simplest tricks? Dryer sheets. Yep, the same ones you toss in the laundry. Wipe down your powder funnels and plastic hoppers with one. It kills static electricity instantly. Your powder will flow smoothly, like water, instead of clinging to the sides like it's alive. Got any old film canisters lying around? They are perfect for measuring or transferring powder. They're easy to handle, and if you throw an overcharge, you can pour it right back into the measure. Here's a really smart one for load development. Use different colored Sharpies and mark your bullets, right at the case mouth, just ahead of the bearing surface. When you shoot your different test groups at the same point of aim, the colored wax transfer on the target will tell you exactly which load went where. This is incredibly useful at longer ranges where wind can play tricks on your groups. A small magnifying glass is perfect for checking brass for stress fractures and inspecting flash holes. A can of compressed air will clear debris from primer pockets in a split second. And thin latex gloves. They keep the oils from your skin off primers and powder, while saving your hands from all that grime. These little hacks will make your reloading bench run a whole lot smoother, without draining your wallet. Number 8. The Loctite Seating Depth Gauge Trick. Dialing in your bullet seating depth is absolutely critical for precision accuracy, and yet, most handloaders just pick a number from a book and hope for the best. Here is a gunsmith's shortcut for finding the exact point where your bullet's ogive touches the rifling. Take one of your once-fired fire-formed cases. Coat the inside of the case neck with a thin layer of blue Loctite. Now, seat a bullet just deep enough so it won't fall out. Carefully chamber that dummy round and gently close the bolt. Let it sit for about 10 minutes for the Loctite to set up. When you carefully extract the round, the bullet will be glued in place at the exact at-the-lands position for your rifle's chamber. That measurement is now your precision baseline. From that number, you can start testing to see if your barrel prefers the bullet jammed into the lands or with a tiny jump before it engages the rifling. Every barrel is different, but without knowing your true at-the-lands measurement, you are just guessing in the dark. This method costs pennies, it requires no fancy gauges, and it gives you a pinpoint accurate measurement. It lets you load with real data instead of just crossed fingers. Number 7. Keep your magazines on a rotation schedule. Most shooters, especially new ones, treat their magazines like they're permanent parts of the firearm. They are not. Magazines are consumables. The springs inside them lose tension over time. This is especially true when they are left fully loaded for months or even years on end. The fix is simple. Rotate them. If you have a half-dozen magazines for your carry gun, swap them out every few months. Let the spring in one rest while another one is in service. When you do your rotation, take that opportunity to inspect the magazine. Look for cracked feed lips, especially on polymer mags. Check for warped bodies or sluggish followers. Mark your mags. I use a paint pen to number mine. That way, if I get a failure to feed at the range, I know which mag caused it. 9 times out of 10, your feeding issues are a magazine problem, not a gun problem. If a magazine starts giving you trouble, retire it. Magazines are far cheaper to replace than the cost of a malfunction when your life is on the line. Treat them like the wear and tear parts they are, and you will eliminate most of your feeding failures before they ever happen. Number 6. Troubleshooting, like a gunsmith. When your firearm stops running, the worst thing you can do is just start randomly poking at it. Every malfunction leaves a clue. Learning to read those signs saves you time and prevents you from causing more damage. Let's break it down. A failure to fire, you press the trigger. You get a click instead of a bang. This almost always comes down to bad ammo or an ignition problem. Check the primer on the dud round. Is there a deep, solid strike mark? That is defective ammunition. Is the strike mark shallow, off-center, or barely there? That means your firing pin isn't delivering enough force. Before you buy parts, clean the firing pin channel. It's probably just gunked up. If that doesn't fix it, then check the spring. A failure to feed is almost always magazine-related. Weak springs, bent feed lips, or an improperly seated magazine are the usual suspects. But don't rule out shooter technique. Some pistols, especially compact ones, demand a firm, locked wrist to cycle correctly. Stovepipes and failures to eject are commonly caused by a dirty or damaged extractor, a worn extractor spring, or again a weak, limp wrist grip. To clear them, cant the pistol so the ejection port faces the ground and work the slide aggressively. A double feed looks ugly, but it's usually straightforward. Lock the slide to the rear. Strip the magazine out, you might have to rip it out. Then manually rack the slide 2 or 3 times to clear those jammed rounds. The golden rule here? Stay calm and be methodical. Check the consumables, first your ammo, your mags, and your springs before you ever assume the gun itself is broken. Number 5. Tap, rack, reassess. The go-to fix. When something goes wrong in the middle of a string of fire, you need one immediate action drill that works for almost everything. That drill is tap, rack, reassess. It has kept more people in the fight than any other complex clearing method. Here's how it works. First, tap. Aggressively tap the bottom of your magazine with the palm of your hand to ensure it's fully seated. A surprising number of stoppages are just a mag that's not locked in. Second, rack. Rack the slide with authority. Don't be gentle. Grab it, pull it all the way to the rear, and let it slam forward on its own. This motion will eject the offending round or casing and chamber a fresh one. Third, reassess. Get your sights right back on the target and be prepared to press the trigger again. Don't waste time admiring your handiwork. The threat is still the threat. This single drill handles most failures to fire, failures to eject, and even some stovepipes. It is simple enough to perform when your adrenaline is jacked and your fine motor skills are gone. Train this until it is as automatic as breathing. It either gets you back in the fight instantly, or it makes it obvious that you have a complex jam that needs more work. Either way, you have an answer. Number 4. The don'ts of gun cleaning. Cleaning time seems to bring out some of the worst garage workshop ideas I've ever seen. I can tell you, plenty of good firearms have been permanently ruined by using the wrong products. First, skip the aggressive household chemicals. That means no oven cleaner, no carburetor cleaner, and no other harsh solvents. They will strip a firearm's protective finish right off, and they can even pit the metal itself. Even something that sounds harmless, like simple green, can eat right into certain types of coatings. Second, avoid cotton swabs, paper towels, and old t-shirt scraps. They all leave behind lint and fibers that can work their way into your trigger group in action, causing jams later on. If you need patches, buy purpose-made patches that won't fray. And whatever you do, please do not chuck a chamber brush into a power drill. That is a fast track to wearing out your chamber and potentially damaging your rifle's headspace. Cleaning is done by hand. Steer clear of abrasive pads unless you know exactly what you're scrubbing. What you think is stubborn carbon might actually be your gun's finish. But above all, never run your gun dry. The wrong lubricant, or no lubricant at all, will do more harm than a little leftover fouling. I'll say it flat out. A dirty, wet gun will almost always run more reliably than a spotless, bone-dry one. Number 3. Brake cleaner and motor oil. The last-ditch maintenance. What if you're out in the field, your gun is filthy, and you don't have your cleaning kit? You can improvise with brake cleaner and motor oil, but you have to understand the trade-offs. Brake cleaner will blast away carbon, oil, and fouling faster than almost anything, but it also strips every last molecule of protective oil from your parts. It leaves the metal bare. If you use it, you must re-lube immediately and thoroughly. I'm not talking hours, I mean minutes, or rust will start to form before you know it. And try to keep it off your plastic and polymer parts, as it can be very harsh. Motor oil, on the other hand, works as a perfectly fine emergency lubricant if you don't have real gun oil. A quick swipe from a car's dipstick and a few drops on critical points like the bolt carrier rails or the slide rails will keep the action running. Remember this key principle. For short-term reliability, lubrication matters more than cleanliness. A dirty gun that's well oiled will run circles around a clean one that's dry. These tricks are not replacements for real maintenance, but when you're far from the bench, they might just keep you in the fight. Number 2. Clean more than you think you need to. Most shooters only break out the cleaning kit when they notice a problem when their groups start opening up or when the action feels sluggish. That is a reactive mindset, and it's going to cost you in both performance and the lifespan of your firearm. A better habit, the correct habit, is to clean your firearm after every single range trip. I don't care if you ran 200 rounds or just 2 magazines. Powder residue, oils from your hands, and airborne grit start settling in the moment you're done firing. Carbon fouling is hygroscopic. That's a fancy word meaning it draws in moisture from the air. And moisture is what feeds rust. Here's the part that most people overlook. Even a safe queen needs periodic cleaning. Dust, lint, and humidity will get inside your safe. Military armories mandate a minimum cleaning interval of 90 days, even for guns in storage. If you live in a damp climate, that schedule needs to be even tighter. A fouled bore doesn't just dull your accuracy, it changes how every single round engages the rifling, which leads to unpredictable flyers. Build-up in the action is just an invitation for feeding problems, ejection failures, and light primer strikes. Treat every single cleaning session as a mini inspection. You'll be the one who catches a loose optic screw, a worn spring, or a small crack before it ruins a hunt or a match. Stick to the routine. Field strip, clean the bore, scrub the action, then apply a light coat of oil on the moving parts. This is not about making your gun shiny. It's about keeping it ready, reliable, and protected for years to come. Number 1. Secure storage without losing speed. Being a responsible gun owner means constantly balancing 2 critical priorities: keeping your firearms safe from unauthorized hands while still having them instantly available if trouble comes in the middle of the night. For your defensive firearms, a quick access safe either with a good biometric scanner or a high-quality mechanical combination lock is your best friend. But buying it is not enough. You must train to open it in pitch darkness until your hands can do it without your brain even being awake. If you can't operate that safe half asleep and under stress, it is not fast enough and you have the wrong solution. Store the firearm unloaded, with your ammunition in a separate locked container, if your local laws require it. For a quick defensive setup, my recommendation is to keep your loaded magazines or speed loaders inside the same secure box as the gun itself. This gives you instant readiness, without leaving loaded ammo just lying around. And please, forget hiding spots. Curious kids will find them. Experienced thieves will find them. A proper locking unit is the only real deterrent. You also have to plan for the worst-case scenarios inside your home. If someone in your house is struggling, whether it's with depression, substance abuse, or any other crisis, the responsible move is to temporarily store those firearms off-site. No piece of hardware is worth more than a life. Finally, check your setup regularly. Make sure the locks work, the hinges are solid, and the batteries in your electronic safes are fresh. Safe storage is not a set-it-and-forget-it project. It is an active, ongoing part of responsible gun ownership. So there you have it. 10 solid tricks to sharpen your game and keep your gear running right. A few of them might sound unconventional. Some might even go against what you've always been told. But I can promise you, every single one of them comes straight from people who have put in the time behind the trigger. Do you have a favorite gun hack or a shop trick of your own? Drop it in the comments below. I'm always looking to learn new angles from my fellow shooters. If this rundown gave you something useful, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment with your thoughts. We focus on firearms tips and tactics that work in the real world, not just on paper. Until next time, stay safe, shoot straight, and keep your skills sharp.